The dual trial for NIBIRU, the primal being added to your and your opponent's opening hand has started. Not sure why it's called Extreme Duel because there's nothing extreme about it. But in this video, I'm going to show you two different accounts where I went 3-0 very quickly in order to complete this event and get the free pack. Using, of course, Labyrinth. This deck was made to counter things like Max C and NIBIRU because you don't really play into Max C and you don't have to summon 5 times in a single turn. So in this deck, I opted to take out my 2 copies of NIBIRU since you normally only need 1. And I opted to throw in 2 virus cards instead with Labyrinth. And let me tell you, they put in the work. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this deck performed in this event. So this match was kind of funny, but also kind of cruel. You're going to see why in just a moment. Our opening hand is absolutely insane, assuming we don't get negated here, because when we normal summon Ariana, we're going to be able to search out Kuklok because we already have the furniture piece in hand, which we can use after activating Kuklok, of course, that we can summon Kuklok with the transaction rollback in our hand to pitch with the Chandelier in order to set a big welcome, which will be activatable this turn because of the Kuklok and us having an Ariana on field. We also have Lady in hand already, which means when we activate the big welcome, we're going to be able to set a card off of Lady. The opponent has no interruptions in order to slow me down here, except for that NIBIRU. We are on summon number 3 with that Kuklok being special summoned, and we're very carefully keeping track of this being the 4th summon, so we're not going to summon after this, of course. Bringing that Kuklok back to hand, now we're going to be able to trigger the Lovely and the Chandelier. Thankfully, it wasn't the Stovey Torby because we would opt not to summon that if that was the case, because that would be summon number 5 and trigger the NIBIRU. We pop a card in the opponent's hand, and it's the NIBIRU. We use Lovely to reset the big welcome and pass turn. I think the game was giving him a little bit of benefit considering that, you know, full force virus would pop the NIBIRU anyways, which is now activatable this turn. In the draw phase, we're going to activate Kuklok and Big Welcome here because we plan to set Eradicator, which is going to be activatable this turn since we activated Kuklok as well. Off Big Welcome, we just summon and bounce back Stovey Torby for summon number 1. And this way, we're going to be able to trigger Lovely and Ariana. I'm going to, after those trigger effects activate, use the full force virus to tribute the Ariana. This will allow me to pop the cards in the opponent's hand that would be taken out by full force virus and then trigger the Lovely pop. So no sense in taking out cards that Lovely would normally take out, that the full force virus would normally take out with the Lovely. This way I'm able to absolutely destroy the opponent's hand, leaving them with nothing but a Blue Eyes White Dragon. So this opponent was trying to play Blue Eyes in this event, which is respectable. We're also able to take out the traps after we see the hand with the full force virus, so we know with the Eradicator to call traps and not spells, and the opponent is just left with nothing. This was all during the opponent's turn, by the way. Labyrinth absolutely dominating here, and the opponent basically has nothing that they can do with just a Blue Eyes in hand and no activatable effects in the graveyard. So we're just going to go ahead and activate Eradicator again with transaction to call spells. So whether they draw spells or traps, it's going, or monsters with less than 1500 defense, I think it is, it's all going to be destroyed. So I don't really know what the opponent can do in this situation. Just showing you some pretty interesting Unchained extensions with the Labyrinth Unchained deck. We can use Shavara to target a face down card, then activate it afterwards and still combo off. The opponent just surrenders because they don't want to sit through a combo, which is respectable, and we end up taking that one quite easily. So yeah, people are on very weird decks, but in this opening hand, you're going to see us use Arius, one of the new cards in the Blazing Arena pack, which, you know, I think if you're playing Labyrinth, you should probably look to play at least one of this. With the Arius, we're able to set and activate the big welcome during the main phase, which gets us an Ariana, which allows us to grab Stovey Torby. Since the opponent ends with just a Clockwork Knight, I think that's the card name there, we're going to opt to use the Stovey Torby to set the big welcome here, pitching the NIBIRU since it clearly has no value right now, and that free card added to our hand definitely helps because now we're going to be able to big welcome a Lovely, bounce back the Ariana, trigger Lovely and Stovey Torby. So this is summon number 2 when the Stovey Torby resolves on field here. Ariana is going to, Lovely is going to be able to pop a card, and it pops System Down, which is one of the cards that was out when I played. I believe this was released in Cybernetic Revolution when Cyber Dragon and everything became meta in the format back in like 2006, 2007. Pay 1,000 life points, banish all machine type monsters your opponent controls and in their graveyard. And with this card, all my cards are machines and lose 500 attack. So, you know, System Down. If it was a quick play, that would be crazy too. But like, it would just banish everything, which is insane. That's an insanely powerful combination, if you ask me. So kind of cool that the opponent was on that. But anyways, we're going to be able to set Eradicator, which is not activatable because Lovely loses 500 attack. So I'm going to need to either out this Clockwork Knight or get a Lovely to field in order to trigger off the Eradicator here. But off of this package here, we're going to be able to use Field Spell with the Welcome Labyrinth to pop the Clockwork Knight. Now my cards are no longer under the 500 attack reduction, and they're back to being fiends instead of machines. We attack directly, bringing the opponent down to 500. We've got an Eradicator set with a Coup Clock in hand, which means, unfortunately for the opponent, we are about to pop off and destroy their entire hand. We set full force off of the Lady there, being chained to the Big Welcome, and we trigger off Chainlink 5, 4 trigger effects, Chainlink 6 now, call spell cards, pop the opponent's hand. They just scoop before we even have a chance to activate the full force and take out the rest of their hand. And yeah, that is a GG. I'm telling you guys, Labyrinth is just so fun because just like Floowandereeze, there are so many unique lines of play that you can actually do. The deck seems very basic and straightforward because, hey, all I'm doing is setting some cards and passing turn. But this match is going to be a great example of just how devastating this deck can be once you understand the different lines of play and being reactive to your opponent. Like if they're monster heavy deck, if they're a spell heavy deck, trap heavy deck, what we're going to do. So the opponent kind of reveals, yeah, they're probably a trap heavy deck for this event, which is understandable. They're going to Ash our Welcome, which is fine. We're going to chain Big Welcome so that we can trigger Lady here. And off of Lady, we're going to set Eradicator. Since our Welcome was negated, off Big Welcome, we're going to bring out the Ariana and bounce back Lady, which we can then special summon back to the field. Since we did that during turn 1, we can now do it during the opponent's turn as well. Ariana, of course, is going to grab Coup Clock, which is going to be able to turn that freshly set Eradicator online. We trigger off the Stovey Engrave and the Lady to resummon to the field. Off of the Coup Clock coming to hand, we're going to use the effect to discard it first so that we can chain the Stovey and get the effect of Coup Clock to come back to the hand or field if we want. So we're probably going to set another Big Welcome here. No sense in going for Field Spell right now. Might as well have the Big Welcome be activatable during our turn. But off of the Coup Clock here, we're going to now be able to activate Eradicator and pop the opponent's field, which is quite interesting. I would have gone for this combo whether or not the opponent went to Battle Phase or not with Evenly Matched. So we see that they're on some kind of like stun variant. They've got the NIBIRU in hand, obviously a set card and a set spell card that obviously they couldn't use. We draw a Big Welcome for turn, which is quite interesting, and not having to worry about any interactable traps now because we know exactly what the opponent has. We're going to be able to pop off and destroy every single resource the opponent has. Just like what we used to do with Floowandereeze, even though we couldn't hand rip and stuff with that, we can with Labyrinth, which is nice. So Welcome resets itself to the field. Stovey gets resummoned off of the Big Welcome that we set during the opponent's turn. We draw with Ariana into a Triple Tactics talent. Lovely will pop the card in hand, which we knew was NIBIRU, because we're going to go for some interesting plays. For summon number 3, we're going to Synchro into the Chaos Angel using a non-tuner, of course, and banish what probably should have been the back row, but it's fine. We end up banishing a Morphing Jar, which is quite interesting, and then we're going to go ahead and normal summon the Coup Clock so we can go into Muttcracker and bring back the Lady so that we can trigger off our Eradicator once again during the next turn, but the opponent didn't really want to see it, and they just end up scooping it up. And so on this account, we also did the same thing, jumping into the duel trial with Labyrinth, going a quick 3-0 using virtually the same deck, small Unchained package in Labyrinth with subbing out the NIBIRUs for the virus cards, and well, the results are pretty much the same. In this first matchup here, our opening hand is a Stovey with a 5 Rainbow Magician, a Nice Dragon's Prison, Archfiend's Ghastly Glitch, and a Big Welcome Labyrinth with the NIBIRU being added to our hand. We don't care about the NIBIRU in the opponent's hand since, like I said, we don't summon more than 5 times usually in a turn. So we're going to go ahead and use the Stovey to set a Welcome Labyrinth since we already had the Big Welcome there, and use the Performer Pal Rainbow Magician to discard and re-put into the Pendulum Zone. The opponent ends up max seeing and Ash Blossoming after going into the battle phase, and I'm just like, you know, you're on like 60 cards or whatever. There's no way you're playing and drew and evenly matched, right? So our Big Welcome is negated. That's fine. We're able to welcome out an Ariana, and with that, we're going to be able to grab something to hand. No, the opponent ends up having an Impermanent. So we got Max Seed, Ash Blossomed, and Impermed. And again, Labyrinth usually doesn't care about Max Seed. Like, we special summoned once that the opponent gets to draw off of, so it's not the biggest deal. But it does suck a little bit. I do make a mistake here. I should have definitely opted to blow up the Ariana so that it's in the grave and not get banished face down. But I end up popping my Performapal thinking that, yeah, it goes to like graveyard or something. So when I set a card, it would be put back, but I forgot it goes to the extra deck. So that was a waste. But at least we're able to dump a Chandelier. So we've got both furniture pieces in rotation. I end up opting to keep the Ariana here. And the main reason why is because with the Big Welcome in the graveyard, I can just bounce this back and summon it to my field again. So that's exactly what I do. I change positions just to see if the opponent's field lights up, to see if this is a card that could stop my Ariana, and it doesn't look like it is. So on bouncing back of the Ariana, I am going to be able to trigger off my furniture and the Welcome Labyrinth in the graveyard that was not banished off of the evenly matched. The opponent has yet another Maxi, so they draw one off of our Stovey Torby. So again, that's totally fine because we're not going to special summon for the rest of the turn. We're going to normal summon the Ariana. It does not get negated this time. And so we're able to grab and set a Big Welcome, use furniture to pitch the 5 Rainbow Magician we drew for turn. And we're going to go ahead and activate that now and then flip up the field spell that we searched with the Stovey Torby. And we have a very powerful setup. The odds the opponent has another Maxi is pretty slim to nil. So we're feeling pretty good considering, like I said, they're on like 60 cards. They're on a Trap Tricks variation, and this is their normal summon. So I'm just like, let me go ahead and activate Welcome Labyrinth. With this, I can opt to pop the normal summon monster. With the Ariana, I'm going to be able to draw a card as well, trigger off all my furniture, and then the Big Welcome can also bring out the Lovely and pop a card either on field or in hand. And since I have the 5 Rainbow Magician up, if I get rid of their back row, none of their monsters can activate any effects. So this is why Labyrinth with this card is absolutely insane. The opponent ends up scooping it up, realizing that we're just too far ahead. So I bring out the Silver Castle there so that I can set a trap off of any other activations, but the opponent just kind of realized it's not enough and they end up scooping it up. Alright, in this next matchup here, we open with a furniture piece and the Cool Clock, and this combination means instant Big Welcome, assuming we don't get negated, and we also have a Full Force Virus in order to clean up the NIBIRU in the opponent's hand. Not that we really need to, because we don't summon more than 5 times usually, but we could if we wanted to, and clear any other monsters that they might have as well. So we're going to go ahead and activate the Cool Clock and Furniture combo, get the Lovely to field, and recycle the Chandelier, pop a card in the opponent's hand, and it actually is a card that hurts us in the Blaze Accelerator. So I set this in anticipation that I'm going to bounce this back with the Big Welcome, and unfortunately I was unaware that this would happen, so they end up popping all my monsters on field and getting 1500 burn damage on me there with this combination. They reveal that they're on just a Time Lord build, so again, just like weird decks you're seeing in this format, I guess you could call it, where people don't want to summon more than 5 times. I mean, maybe it's not so bad, because if it was the Time Lord that like shovels all the cards on the field back into the deck, I would definitely be screwed. I'm forced to normal summon the Cool Clock here because my Big Welcome that was reset off of Lovely requires a either a Fiend or a Labyrinth. I don't remember what it says. You cannot activate this card unless you control a Fiend monster. So I needed a Fiend at least on the field to activate the Big Welcome. But thankfully we have the Cool Clock, so Big Welcome cycles back the Lovely there. No sense in triggering field spell since this card can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. We pop a card in the opponent's hand, and we're going to go ahead and reset Big Welcome. With the Full Force Virus set and the Welcome Labyrinths on field here, I'm going to be able to bring an Ariana, which will be able to be tributed with the Full Force Virus and just annihilate the opponent's hand. So what we're going to do is off Ariana, search Silver Castle, so when we pop the Full Force, we can set another trap that we can activate because we have Cool Clock, and we're just going to win the game at this point. There's nothing the opponent can do. So Full Force Virus, after we wait for the Time Lord to be shuffled back into the deck, since it can't be destroyed anyways. The Full Force Virus triggers, tributing off the Ariana. The opponent loses 3 monsters, which is pretty nice for us, and they have 1 spell card left in hand. We brought Eradicator to field with Lady, which we can then trigger Cool Clock and activate this turn. The opponent realizes it and just ends up scooping it up, I think, once they see us kind of popping off here a little bit, because they're not too interested in getting their whole hand wiped. We don't even need Eradicator. Never mind. We just pop it with Lovely. The opponent ends up being able to extend a little bit with Volcanic Shell. I don't even remember this, but I guess they didn't scoop. I was just so used to opponent scooping because I have another set of 3 matches that I'm going to probably show you on my main account where Labyrinth just absolutely decimated the opponents as well. So they go into a Lingaribo, and there's nothing really that they can do here. We draw Shabara for turn, which is very strong. Make a little bit of a mistake. I probably should have triggered the Shabara first, but I guess it doesn't really matter. But yeah, you can trigger Shabara, target the set welcome card, then activate it, which is a nice little combo. But here the opponent scoops once they realize we're going to basically OTK them with what we have on board.